was literally just a normal day, like, or just every other day. And I don't know, we were both contemplating whether to go football or not. I was feeling lazy, like, we were both just feeling lazy, but I think he wanted to go slightly more than I did, but yeah. And we spoke to a few other people, like, no one really wanted to go, like, it was just a normal day, but just, yeah, everyone's quite lazy. And coming to the end of the day, well, I just decided, why not, because he kept pestering me the whole day. I thought, why not?
Yeah, I remember everyone ended up going then, innit?
Yeah, join on the pitch. It was just a normal game, really. But like, after it actually happened, like, no one actually realised the severity of like how serious it actually was, innit? So,
but I remember his arm was a bit bent back, and I remember saying to everyone, "Oh, don't worry, it's fine. It's just a seizure. Everyone back up." And no one really realised how bad it was actually going to become.
At first, I thought it was a joke. Like, I thought you were just playing about, like, why are you on the floor? So everyone was laughing. Like, think back to it, was just
because it was making that same noise the whole match, innit?
Yeah, everyone was laughing, like, oh, why is he on the floor? It just seemed like he was joking, but yeah, we went up to him, and then I remember we all had to get cleared off the pitch. We went into the goals waiting room, like the goals hall area, and no one really knew what to think. Really, it was quite silent, it was quite dull.
Yeah, literally, the only point that we realised how bad everything was when I remember specifically Miss Fewer, she stood in the viewpoint of the glass window, and just behind her I saw them carrying him. And from then I just knew it was bad. I just left the room, chased the ambulance and went to hospital.
What happened on the 5th of February? I think about 2:20. I can't remember precisely the time. I was at home when I got a phone call from Philip's school and asking me to come to school. And the person that was speaking to me on the phone that day was Philip's best friend. But because he was crying, I wasn't too sure. And I asked him, I said, is he all right? And he tried to hide it away from me. He said, yeah, he's all right. I said, is he breathing? And he was mumbling with his words. As soon as I went into the reception and said, I'm Mrs. Lamin, I'm Philip's mom, everybody in the hospital just stood still, and they were looking at me. Some of them were crying. As soon as I saw them crying, my heart started beating myself. So I went in and they took me to where Philip was lying down. And I saw a lot of doctors there attending to him, tube all over his mouth and his nose. They were pressing his chest and blood was coming out. I became scared. I couldn't stand the scene that I was seeing because I've never ever seen my son like that. So when I saw the scene, it was too scary for me to go in. So I asked them to give me a room that I wanted to be on my own first of all, just to gather myself before I go back. So the nurses or the staffs, they gave me a room, and I went in there as I'm a Christian. So I started praying and asking God to help me and to help my son. Now I went back into the room again, and the doctors were still doing what they were doing. And I asked them how far. They said, Mrs. Lamin, things are not looking all right. I said they needed to stop what they were doing, and I said, please continue, don't stop. And I came back the last time, and they said, look, we have to stop. We just have to stop now because what we're doing is not going to change anything. And they stopped, and they pronounced my son dead. At that particular, as soon as they said my son was dead, I said, how is that possible? My son left home this morning, he was all right, he was bubbly, he was laughing, everything was all right. How can my son pass away? So I think I was dazed. As soon as they pronounced him dead right in my presence, I was kind of completely dazed. So I didn't know when I ran into the motorway and lie down on the motorway, wanting cars to just come and run me down so that I could join my son, you know. It was a very, very challenging experience for me. So somebody came into the motorway and stopped all the cars from moving so that the car don't run me over. And they brought me back again to the hospital to sit down. And by the time I got back to the hospital, all my families and my friends were all gathering. And some of Philip's few friends were all there. So we're just gathering and looking at me, and I was looking at them. I said, this can't be possible. This cannot be possible. How, why, when, what? You know, I just asked myself 1,001 questions at the same time, that my son just left home this morning and he's never going to come back again. So we stayed in the hospital till about 10 o'clock, and they asked when the nurses or the staff of the hospital said we have to go home now and then come back the following day, that Philip was going to be taken to the mortuary. I said, what? This is not possible. So we went back home, and when we got back home, the whole of my street was packed up with people from my community, from people who have, I think the news of his passing away kind of leaked through the social media, so all of his friends were gathering in my house, in the street, and that was it. That was what happened on the 5th of February. Yeah, and that was the particular spot, that very spot. I think I came after the 5th of February from the hospital. The 6th of February, I came to school, where the school had a kind of remembrance for him, and I was invited to come, and I came in, and I asked them to take me to where it all happened, and they brought me that particular spot there, right there. And when I came in, I just looked at the place, and I lied down, I lay myself down on that ground, just to feel my son's, just to feel him, you know. So that was what happened. He was very caring, very loving. I always remember every Mother's Day, he would buy me a box of chocolate, and he makes sure he buys the one that he likes. So in the morning, he will come to my room on the day of the Mother's Day, he'll come to my room, and he will bring me a candle and a cup of tea and my box of chocolate. And when I open it, I find out that all the ones that he likes, he's taking them out and eating them already before presenting me with the ones that he didn't like. P is for Philip, L is for Lamin, and 9 is the number 9 t-shirts that he uses for his football. After the passing away of Philip, a lot of his friends were coming to my house. They just kind of gather in my house, and they come every day. So I went to Nando's to ask them if they could give us a place for us to meet on a weekly basis, just for me to be around the young people. When I see these young boys, it's like Philip is among them, and when they see me, they feel like Philip is still around. So we kind of encourage one another through the sweet stories and the sad story.
A few years ago, I used to play football. Like, I love football. When I was 15, like around June time, I was sitting in class, and then I just started feeling like a pain in my chest without warning. So there was no symptoms or anything. And then the next minute, all I knew was I was on the floor. A few months later, I got back on my feet, but sadly, doctors told me I couldn't play football anymore, and my dream was crushed. I thought that was it. But then it wasn't it, because then I found acting and comedy and music, and so it's basically God's way of telling me I have a new plan for you. I never knew what PO9 was until last year when Miss Juliet messaged me on Facebook telling me to perform at a concert. A few days later, she told me that she wanted me to be the leader of PO9. Straight away, I didn't even have to ask any questions. I knew that it was for me.
The defibrillator is a device that helps shock people's heart back to life whenever they have a cardiac related issue. I think I was told that if there's a defib in a school or in any public area where somebody have a heart attack, if within 5 minutes, if you could get a defib, that there's a chance that that person is going to survive. I've been doing a lot of campaigning to make sure that every school in the Bexley Borough and every public area has a defib. When you go to public places, you see fire extinguisher in every public places or in schools. Why do we put it there? We don't put it there because we expect fires to happen any moment, but we put it there should, in case fire happen, then there is a fire extinguisher to be able to quench the fire. I wish I had somebody who did this kind of campaign before Philip passed away, because I knew Philip was into football. If I had seen any campaign like this beforehand, I would have taken Philip or encouraged Philip to go and have it high screen, because I know he's into sport. But unfortunately, I didn't get any of this campaign going on at the time where I lost my son. So that is why I want to encourage every parent whose children are into sport to please take their children for high screening before any casualty, seriously, as my son situation happened. Like they always say, to be safe is better than to be sorry.